Is he their father? Is he their uncle? I don't know what's happening. He exists? He killed their mother? Probably. Yes, he killed their mother. And he got tied to a tree. Probably. Greetings, fools, friends, and foolish friends, or friendly fools, whichever you may prefer to consider yourself. I'm Kai, or as a few very fake people call me, the Authorial Tamperer. And I am still dressed as Belladonna Davenport from Purple Hyacinth. This is my cosplay. I've never done a full cosplay reveal, so got some boots and everything. Yes. I am... In case it's not clear, I'm filming this on the same day as the other one because I don't have the energy to get into cosplays every single day of my life. I don't have the energy for a lot of things. For those who did not see the last video, I do recommend going back and watching it because you will not understand what's happening otherwise. But to give a recap, I am reading a story that I wrote when I was 8 years old, so 10 years ago. It is of questionable quality, to say the least. But it's funny, I hope, and I would like to give off the very distinct impression that we all start somewhere. We all have to begin with something, and even if that something is hunted, it's somewhere. And I would not be anywhere near the level that I hope my writing is at by now had I not been really bad at it in the beginning. Because I had to learn from something, and unfortunately, experience was the only option that I had, so. That said, it gave me hopefully funny stories to mock. We pick up where we left off. On Chapter 1, right after Rosie put flowers in her hair. Chapter 1. Rosie's perspective. "Did you see that?" cried Rosie, pronouncing each word perfectly. As you might recall, only a few moments ago, to their recollection, they were toddlers, so the fact that they can suddenly speak because they have mentally and physically aged up. Well, it happened. That's wonderful. We have more important things to worry about. It does not say who said that, but you know what? I'm going to assume Estelle. Well, like what? Rosie has correct priorities. I, too, would be more excited about the fact that I could put flowers in my hair than, aging. Aging happens to everybody. It's an unfortunate thing. I live in denial, and I don't believe that I exist, or am real, or that I'm aging. And when my friend told me that he had just turned 16, I was excitedly like, oh my gosh, we're the same age now. We're not. We're very much not. So once again, Rosie has correct priorities. Flowers do come first. Like, what happened over the last few years? Interrupted Mistel. 10 minutes later. Time cuts. Okay. Baby Kai, I have some thoughts for you. Don't. Please stop. There are places and times for time cuts, but suddenly swapping out of nowhere for no reason. Please stop. Don't do that. That ruins it. Don't ruin it. It's a lovely story that everyone totally wants to read. Why would you put in time cuts when you could have more story to tell? This is not a denunciation of time cuts in general. I do think that time cuts are very important. But one should be very careful where they place them so as not to mess up the narrative flow. I messed up the narrative flow so badly with this story, which once again, I'm 8, so I don't know why I'm critiquing myself as though I'm some best-selling author. I'm not even an author now, technically, unless you count fanfiction writers on AO3. Anyways, 10 minutes later. 1 year? You've gotta be kidding me! Screamed Rosie, staring at the automatic calendar she owned. I like that it's just kind of like, you know, these kids are in a jungle, in case you didn't know that. And I remember when I was a kid, I imagined that they kind of lived in this, like, nice little, like, fancy cave. It has, like, moss on the walls, and it's a cave. But, you know, she has an automatic calendar, so that she could know how much time passed by when she stubbed her toe on a rock and became magic. I too would want to know, so that's fair. Nothing makes sense! Oh, bestie. It doesn't get any better as you get older. I don't think it's kidding you, said Miss Dell. I'm so proud of you, Miss Dell, for figuring that out. I'm really proud of you. It's just, well, must be that, well, you know, with power we become older. Miss Dell, I'm no longer proud of you. Get out of my house. You're stupid. No, Rosie said. I mean, everyone thinks we're dead. This is called jumping to conclusions, which, if I remember correctly, is a logical fallacy. A girl just said, oh, it's been a year and we haven't shown up. I disappear for long periods of time. Do people assume I'm dead? I don't know. I don't ever talk to them again. I'm afraid. I would like to not talk to them again. They're scary. People are terrifying. Anyway, she just thinks that everybody thinks they're dead. Yeah. Minor details, issues. But as far as, like, a writing perspective goes, I do have to ask my younger self why I was just spoon-feeding them the conclusions that I wanted them to have when those conclusions make no sense. Like, no. Please write things that make sense. Thank you. This has been a PSA. Unless you're writing crack. I love crack. I love stories that make no sense on purpose. Those are good. Unfortunately, this is not one of those. This was not meant to be funny. This was serious. Jaguars killed people, as you might recall. Alrighty. Rosie waited anxiously as everyone let that statement sink in. I would like to note that I decided to add a word to this sentence, which was just fine before, when it says, Rosie waited anxiously as everyone let that statement sink in. And the word I added was, Rosie waited anxiously as everyone let that statement to sink in. This is why 8-year-olds are not allowed to edit. Life was as though they had never existed. Okay. I know that I personally, if someone disappeared for a year, might forget them. Okay, that's a lie. I cling to people mentally a lot. My attachment style is confusing and I don't understand it. However, it's been a year. You're fine. You did exist. You're just 10-year-old toddlers with magical powers. I'm sorry, I'm taking so long to get through this page. What about Debbie? Whispered Jay. Debbie was Jay's dog. Debbie too, sniffled Rosie. Jay looks ready to cry. Wait! Cried Misty. What's that noise? Debbie! jumped out of a bush quicker than you can say supercalifragilisticexpialidocious and tiki tiki tembo no sarembo charibari ruchi pit peri pembo. Mild side tangent. Tiki tiki tembo no sarembo's charibari ruchi pit peri pendo sucks. Just throwing that in there. From a standpoint of don't disrespect people's cultures that you have no idea about. Back to the story. She leaped to Jay with joy in her eyes. It's talking about Debbie. But something snagged her backwards. She's chained! Oh my gosh. Your dog is on a leash? Wow. Rosie use a vine, not used, use, to snag the rope, slicing it with a quick blow. Oh, it's not even a chain, it's just a rope. And it's so flimsy that it can be cut with a vine. Debbie, dear, chew that crap off. Just chew it off. Just get rid of it, please. Do us all a favor. Handle your own problems. And go hug your friend that's in the middle of having some sort of weird crisis. Which is fair. I would also have a crisis in this situation because who the heck turns from a toddler into a 10-year-old and gets magic powers and finds out it's only been a year right after their parents get murdered by a jaguar? I don't know, man. Just seems a little bit weird. I guess they're just not like other girls. And guys, there's a singular man in here. This is time for my side tangent about the fact that I still have this mild issue where, I don't add a lot of male characters. I remember being kind of surprised when I found out that it's not, like, an average thing to just have an excessively female cast. Maybe because I grew up watching My Little Pony and reading Rainbow Magic. But, as a feminist, that's not even a joke. Yes, I am a feminist, thank you. But as a kid who, like, had some level of feminism in their cold, black, disgusting, rotted, messed up heart, I just thought women were cool. I didn't want to have to write about men. And again, this is a story where we inserted, like, my friend group, who was majority women. The only guy in this group was this one person that I only met once. He was there that one day. We were gonna play our game. We were gonna make a story out of the game. And I never saw him again. But he's in here, so, congrats, Kay. That's not your name. Sorry. Mild rant aside, I'm so sorry. I get distracted easily, and I go all over the place. It's a problem. And now I'm getting distracted about how I get distracted. Okay, so they just sliced a rope with a vine, which once again, I also have to question, how they are so good at their powers so quickly. They just got these, and all of a sudden, Rosie's just over here like flowers in the hair and vines that cut ropes. I don't know how normal it is to be able to cut a rope with a vine, but go off, I guess. A man stepped out. So touching. So, don't you recognize me? Or have I grown too old over the last year? Your mother was so stupid. Why ever marry me? Force! And this is the point at which we find out that their dad's still alive. So the fact that I murdered him just like 3 pages ago is irrelevant to the story. He's alive. He faked his death. The jaguar didn't really kill him. He just wanted to kill his silly wife. Maybe I wasn't a feminist. Anyways, or maybe I was showing just how toxic men can be. Well, Rosie started to slip a vine around him. Dad! This, of course, was coming from Mistel. Of course. Silly Mistel who calls her father Dad. Obviously. Rosie quickly wrapped the vine around his neck and pulled, choking him. Ayo, 43. Anyway. Once again, the inside jokes. You know when your father shows up and starts saying a villain speech after you haven't seen him for a year that aged you about 7 years, and your response is to tie him to a tree with the vine powers that you just got and you choke him? Same. I did that last Tuesday. It was really fun. Very healing. Daddy issues? Gone. 2 branches of a tree came down and picked him up and held him there while Rosie used another vine to tie him there. Rosie's just going off. Girl's popping off. She's slaying. She's a queen. She's like, girl, I can manipulate these vines and I'm gonna do it. I can manipulate the trees. I can manipulate anyone. Gaslight, gatekeep, girl boss. And then she does. Rosie was my self-insert. This is where my self-loathing comes from, isn't it? Mistel realized what was happening and froze Rosie. I would be like, you know, I would love to be like, Mistel, what the heck? Isn't that drastic? But she is choking out their father while he's tied to a tree with the vine powers she just got. So, like, I mean, go off, girl. Wait, Rosie tried to say something, but cold was already creeping along her face. Cold is cool. And that is where I end that perspective. I am angry, again, at the cuts in this book. Why are they like this? Why do these scenes end like this? We only have a few more pages. I'm just gonna try and soldier on through it. We'll see how we can get through it. Jay's perspective. Jay watched in horror as Mistel froze Rosie. Wow. Why? Why? Those two have always loved each other. I am so glad that this is the only time they have had a sibling dispute, and it is while choking out their father. With vines. Like, okay, Jay, in their whole 3 years of life that have turned into 10 years overnight, that happened to be a year, this timeline is a little bit of a mess for me. Anyways. You're mesmerized! Stop it! Although, I will have to say, I did not spell mesmerized right, so, I was having a mild crisis over whether to read You're Memoried or You're Mesmerized. And I went with You're Mesmerized because I think that makes more sense in the context. But I was missing a Z. Go back and fix it, baby Kai. I know you can edit. You put in that unnecessary too. You can do it. Jay shot an amber gem at... Okay, Jay shot an amber gem at Daddy and got him square in the head. As he fell, he muttered something. I think that sentence took a lot of years off of my life. Which is surprising because I didn't think I was going to live until I was 16. Let alone 18. And, I guess we're just, like, subtracting a lot right now. Well. I hate the internet. I hate that I can't say the word daddy without being horrifically disturbed. The jaguar that killed Lisa sauntered forward. I will say, Baby Kai did not have too bad of vocabulary. Like, this is not the best. But, we got stuff like mesmerized, sauntered. Like, this could be worse. This could be so much worse. Considering it's written by an 8-year-old. I have to give credit. Okay. He was pulling a wagon with a girl in the back. But now is where I stop giving credit because, everything is it just happens in this story. Things just happen. I don't quite know why they happen, but they happen. And they just keep happening. And I would like them to stop happening. She looked scared. Bestie, same. She knew any second now she might die. Jay, bestie, how do you know what the random girl is thinking? You have gem powers, not mind reading. This is a case of third-person omniscient. And I don't think it was done well. So, also the fact that I had to specify whose perspectives things are, and then it's not really that person's perspective. A little issue. Okay. Misty whispered something in the jaguar's ear and it nuzzled her cheek. Killed your mom, but it's fine. You can talk to animals now, so. Besties! Wow! I didn't know you could do that, Misty! Exclaimed Jay. You and me both, Jay, because no one knows what's happening in this plot, let alone the characters in it, except for the characters that seem to have weird knowledge that they should not have. Basically, this plot is bad, and it's badly written. Jay turned to the girl. What's your name? Ruby, replied the girl. Debbie went, and she and the jaguar growled softly, talking. 'Cause dogs and jaguars talk to each other. They do speak the same language after all, as all 8-year-olds know and no adults have figured out yet. I'm learning new things from myself. I do want to, another quick note, so the and symbol where it's like, it kind of looks like a distorted 8. It's on your keyboard. Click shift and some number that I don't want to recall or look up right now. Yeah, I'll just put it on the screen. In this sentence where I say that Debbie went and she and the jaguar growled softly, talking, I swap between using a spelled out and the other and. Anyways, I suppose go for efficiency if you want. The jaguar and the dog are talking. They're just having a lovely little conversation. Probably better at socializing than I am. That's fair. Miss Dell unfroze Rosie. Yeah, everything's fine. I don't know what was happening about the mesmerization. They haven't explained that yet. I'm pretty sure mesmerized is spelled with an, MESMERIZED instead of it's a rip-off of memories. Sorry, that was an aside. I'm just realizing how bad this is. Okay. Then Jay started untying Ruby. Just, there's a jaguar with a cart, your father's tied to a tree. We should untie the random girl in the cart without asking what's happening, and we'll just roll with it. Everything's fine. Nothing could go wrong here. Come on. A storm is coming. We have to get to a cave, worried Jay. Once again proving that they have strange knowledge of the plot that I don't even have. They know what's going on in their world, and I don't, know how they know this. Is there, thunder? Is there, clouds gathering? Is there lightning? Did they feel some water droplets? This could be another case where I could actually write something, and instead of just being like, a character says, a storm is coming, the character could start feeling raindrops, or notice the clouds swooping in and darkening the forest even more beneath the cover of the trees. Just anything. Just anything. I don't know, maybe this is some sort of forest where, like, all of the creatures start to, like all the creatures go to hide because they're noticing that it's going to start raining. And so this person is well trained in that, like, well trained in picking up on cues. I don't understand how animals or things work, but you know what? It's a magic forest. There are magic rocks here. There can be animals that just kind of figure the rain is coming before the dumb humans do, so there's my thoughts. Because apparently I didn't have any thoughts while writing this. Yes, I was single. No! I'm just gonna make a joke about how I was single. No thoughts allowed. No thoughts of any sort. I'm still single. Just to clarify, Anyways. Quickly, they ran to the cave right behind them, used their magic to seal the door. Wrong there right here, which I will say, this part is not written by me. I did not write this part. I might have had some input in what was written, but I can tell based on handwriting that this is when it swapped over to one of my friends' writing. No shade to the friend. Friend was also 8. Friend was doing their best. I'm proud of the friend. We were just a bunch of idiots trying to write. We did our best. And the fact that it was I don't know if I've said this clearly before, but Rosie was my self-insert. So when things happen to Rosie, they didn't happen to me. Nothing happens to me. Everything's fine. I'm not related to this story at all. This is just a silly story that I totally didn't write. So they used their magic with the wrong there. In this case, E-R-E instead of E-I-R. Grammatically incorrect. Their magic to seal the door. I'm guessing this is Jay using rocks to seal the door of the cave. I also like how there's a conveniently placed cave that happens to be uninhabited and perfectly ready for use. That's convenient. That's very nice. I do like plot convenience. I totally don't get bothered when things are just too easy and work too well. And there was no mention of the cave beforehand.
I am an idiot. I forgot that they lived in a cave and that they happened to be right next to that cave, because this scene was just so poorly written that I literally forgot all of the elements about where they were, other than the fact that there was a tree that the dad was being choked and tied up to. So, yeah. Oopsies.
Also, they left their father tied to a tree. Like, I'm sorry, man. What's going on? Okay. They came in and heard Ruby's tale. It goes like this. Ruby. My earliest... Again, this misspelling. I should be less critical. It's fine. But earliest is spelled earliest with an I instead of an E in the ist part. It's okay. My earliest memories. And memories is spelled with a Y apostrophe S instead of I-E-S. So, just, if you spell memories like that, please stop. Stop it. Get some help. My earliest memories are of a woman named Lisa. I don't know why there's an 8 right here. Oh, maybe that's the and? Okay. And a man named Louis Luke Guy. And another aside, when I was about 7 or 8, I was out on the playground alone because I am not good at making friends. And all of my friends had abandoned me because they got face paint that day, and my mom didn't want me to get face paint because it was evil, I guess. So, I was hanging out alone on this little playground at my homeschooling group when I was approached by the new kid, who sat upon a swing next to me. We looked at each other because I was like, there's a child there. And he was like, I don't know what was in his head because I am not living my life in omniscient third person. So this child says, what's your name? And I say, dead name. And he says, dead name? I love you. And that is how I gained my first mortal enemy. Because the natural response as an aro-ace child, with slight hints of lesbian in them, is that if a guy comes up to you and declares love upon first meeting, he is garbage. And you should despise him forever. And I think, honestly, that was a good choice. From what little I remember of this kid. The child's name, however, you may be wondering how this is connected. The child's name was Luke. I am so sorry. I have people in my life now, and at that point too, who are named Luke, who are wonderful people. But he kind of spoiled the name for me at that time. And since we were writing self-insert, basically, I was like, okay, well, we need a villain name. Guess who I hate? Luke. And my friends were like, but I want to name him Lewis. And I was like, but that just makes me think of Meet the Robinsons, and Lewis is not a bad guy, he's cool. And they were like, well, he can be Lewis Luke. So then we get both of them. I also like how we just kind of threw Guy on the end. His name was Lewis Luke Guy. You know, as any loving parent would name their child and not expect them to turn out into a murderer and a really confusing person that I honestly don't know what's happening. Like, I can't tell if this dude is like... I'm so lost. I think he's their... Is he their father? Is he their uncle? I don't know what's happening. He exists? He killed their mother? Probably. Yes, he killed their mother. And he got tied to a tree. Probably. Lewis Luke Guy. Your average run-of-the-mill villain name. Brought to you by mildly unoriginal children. Lisa was my mom, I think. Okay, well, they just had one of their lost sister reveals, which I will note, Ruby was a friend that wanted to join in on the project later. Like, we were hanging out, we were like, hey, yo, this is this really cool thing we're doing. We are so cool. We are writing fanfiction about ourselves where our parents are brutally murdered by jaguars, and we get magic powers from stubbing our toes on rocks. And she was like, please, let me join. As is the normal and healthy response to that. So, Lisa was my mom, I think, anyway. I can remember Lisa being the first person I had ever seen. Like, you remember being born and seeing her, or she's just in your earliest memory that you can recall? I'm just curious. But I also remember Lewis kind of kidnapping me. I will note really quickly, Lewis Luke Guy, they just kind of swap back and forth between calling him Lewis and calling him Luke for the rest of the story. Which is not very long, thankfully. I can't do this. That night, I found a weird stone. They all do this. they all managed to find a magic rock. I wonder how much of this was inspired from that one story about, like, Sylvester or something, that I swear was about a donkey that finds a magic pebble and turns into a rock. And his parents eat dinner on his rock self like he's a table. This is unrelated. Sorry, tangent again. The next day, I, being curious, went and was going to examine it, the stone I mean, but when I touched it, I was out cold. I am sorry for the fact that I'm reading this more slowly. This is harder to read. My handwriting was bad, but it's like the kind of bad that I can actually read. Anyway. And touched is spelled with an S in the middle. That's great. I was out cold till I was 10! Common plot point that random toddlers are finding rocks and turning 10. Everyone turns 10, I guess. We wanted a cast where everyone is the same age. We did it. We managed. We're geniuses. I can't do this. When I woke up, Luke was shaking me. When I asked Lewis to tell Lisa that I need to leave for a week. Luke yelled at me, then whispered something, and a jaguar jumped out of the bushes, and I screamed. Then Lewis tied me up and put me in the wagon. Later, Luke talked to the jaguar while I ate the food he gave me, and Lewis kept me prisoner for 6 years. I guess she's 16? Which is really funny, because if I remember correctly, this person that this character was based off of was the youngest of our friend group, other than my little sister. But she was the youngest, if I am correct. And we were just like, yeah, congrats, you're 16 years old. You're our cool old friend. You're so old, you're so mature, you're so smart, you're 16. You got it all figured out, bro. Well then. For 6 years. Till now. You know, you just kind of get... You hang out in a wagon for 6 years after being kidnapped. Just for 6 years. For 6... I have thoughts. I'm not going to voice any of them, because mostly they're just, what? What? Ruby ended her story. Thank you for telling me. I wasn't certain what those quotation marks meant. I just thought they were fun little squiggles on the page to, like, spruce it up a little. Give some artistic flair. Suddenly, a 10-year-old boy broke through the magic wall and tried to kiss Rosie. I hate men. This is a joke. Men are fine. Some of them. Some men. Some women are also not fine, just to be clear, and some non-binary people. Everyone can be not fine or fine, depending on who they are and what they do. However. What? First off, why was I the sacrificial lamb that had to, like, have some sort of relationship weird thing that happened here? Also, it was non-consensual. Ick. I'm not really interested in kissing now. When I was 8 years old, I was like, ew, I don't want that. And my friends were like, okay, what's still gonna happen? It's gonna try. But Kay hit him on the head with a rock, and Jay made a cage out of gems, emeralds, and rubies, to be exact. I did like being exact in my stories. I don't know if I was the one who wrote that part, but I did like being exact. I don't think I was the one that wrote that line, because, again, another friend was writing by this point. I don't know why. I guess they were kind of just like, here, I'm gonna write it, and I was like, my baby. And that's how we got the kiss scene. Gonna cry. Miss Stell dumped water on his head, and Misty told the jaguar to get into the cage and stay there. I do like this show of teamwork, I will admit. This is better done than any group project I've ever been a part of, probably. Not that I participate in a lot of group projects. I don't do anything with my life. But considering that they just kind of did this out of nowhere, that was well done. They made a cage, they hit him on the head with a rock, they dumped water on him, and the jaguar got in the cage with him just to kind of be scary. That's cool. Okay. Then Rosie got up and stated, "Who are you?" Slowly, in parentheses, just to be certain that in case the little dashes that said to, like, pause, that we would know to say it slowly anyways. "I will not tell you," replied the boy, truly a villain. "Go ahead and eat him, Jennifer," said Misty. When did we name the jaguar Jennifer? Why did we name the jaguar Jennifer? At what point did we look at this poor creature that has been, like, just hanging out with some crusty weird man that we tied to a tree, and that killed our mother, and say, I'm naming that one Jennifer. I can't do this. I'm so glad. There's one page left. It's fine. No, I will tell you, he squeaked. Then, in a calmer tone, he added, "My name is Cody, and I am the son of Lyco, the cousin of Louis Luke." I'm not much better at names now, but I am a little bit better. I swear. Okay. "What?" yelled Ruby, Misty, Rosie, Miss Stell, Kay, and Jay. Everyone's yelled what? It could have just been everyone yelled. Oh gosh, anyway. "So you are our cousin once removed?" asked Kay. "Thank you. Is that how family trees work? I'm not quite sure. I think I'd know, but nope." "If you say it that way, yes," replied Cody coolly. "Okay. So why did you oh wait, oh gosh, oh, ew, oh, and he tried to kiss, oh, ew, oh, no. Oh no. Bestie, what? I don't like this. I don't like this story. 8-year-olds, please burn. I am punting you into the sun. You are going into the sun. You are going to burn. You are going to think about your life choices. I'm kidding. You've been crisped. Goodbye. It's almost over. Okay. "So why did you suddenly appear?" asked Rosie. Oh, this is so hard to read. It looks like it says "your mom" to my, distinguished, very smart, big brain self. Yes. I know it doesn't say your mom, but, your mom. Just, why did you appear? Your mom. No, bro. Our mom didn't have you. You're our cousin, not our sibling. That doesn't make anything better. But still, like, I just didn't appear because of their mom. Anyways, something. Oh, maybe it's just, I think that makes more sense. Okay, so, I am not allowed to tell you, said Cody. Go ahead, Jen, Misty whispered. Jennifer'd me out happily. That's it. Where we left off, someone's cousin, once removed, tried to kiss them out of nowhere with no consent. I will say it was crossed out. I'm pretty sure as soon as I got the notebook back, I was like, please stop. That's not happening. I don't like that. But due to the fact that it was in there in the first place, before I remembered that it was their cousin, I thought that it had to be said because I was like, this is about our old story in its original glory. I'm okay if the jaguar eats him. It's okay. It's okay. Anyways, but as I stated, there is nothing more to that story, thankfully. We never finished it. It just kind of became that and stayed that. I will say, I do believe there is an attempt further on in this notebook, if I am not incorrect, to rewrite the prologue. Yeah, okay. It is missing a page. I don't really care much about it anyways, but basically, I think the point of it was going to be that, oh my gosh, the evil stepfather is poisoning their mother right after she gave birth. I don't know why, but he is. Storytime logic, who needs it? He's evil. So there's that. Now, having heard this, my question, do you think any of it is salvageable? My answer to that, very little. Again, I did write a plot. If that is wanted, I will, make another video where I explain that, and, one where I talk about the old art and possibly redesign some of the characters, redraw them, have a little fun. But that is all for now. I think I'm good on being scarred by my younger self for a little while. Though I will be coming back to this because I have a lot of old writing and art to look through. Thank you all for watching. I hope you found it entertaining. Don't kiss your cousins, please. Feed creepy people to jaguars? I'm kidding. Don't do that. I don't want to be liable for that. The poor jaguar. Don't put them through that. I hope you enjoyed. I'm so sorry. Thank you all for watching, and have a lovely day where you forget everything that you just heard. Like I'm going to try to do as soon as I fall asleep.